Hey guys, it's Ben from Strength Factory. And I can't believe you've done this, but you've left it to the last minute. It's 3 or 4 weeks to your race or your event, and you're not fit. This is how you're gonna fix it. I think most mountain bikers can relate to this. We've all done it. You tell yourself, I'm gonna start training 3 or 4 months before the race or the holiday or whatever it is. And then that time appears and then something happens, life gets in the way. I'll start in a few weeks. And before you know it, oh no, it's 4 weeks until race day. It's 4 weeks till my riding holiday. It's 4 weeks until that massive weekend away with the boys, and I'm unfit and I'm slow. What are you gonna do about it? I mean, you can't just turn back time. You can't magically become a machine in that period of time. But if you work hard and if you're smart and consistent between now and that race or event, then you can make a real difference to your training, and I'm gonna tell you how. First of all, can I just say, you're a naughty mountain biker. You should have listened to me and started training back in the winter doing your base miles. But anyway, I'll move on from that because we are where we are and we need to get you ready. So first of all then, what's different? Well, the only thing that's different really is the time. The process and the principles remain the same, just like any other training program. So the first thing I would do is sit down with a bit of paper, whatever you like to use, and make a plan. Put down the goal event, whether it's a race or a riding holiday, and then an evaluation of like where you are now, and figure out the difference between the two. Maybe, you know, you're not used to doing full days of downhill if you're going to ride the lifts in the Alps, or you can't currently pedal far enough 2 days on a road to do the race. Make that appreciation of where you are and where you need to be, because that's going to tell us what we need to achieve in this short time frame. And you may not get it all. You're not going to get it all. It's not going to be perfect, but we can get it closer. So first of all, make a plan, do that appreciation. The second thing we need to do then is to carve out some time. The reason you haven't started already, for a lot of people, especially I know there's a lot of like dads and middle-aged riders who watch my stuff, it's because you've struggled to find or make the time. Well, unless you change something, you're still going to struggle. So you actually need to put some effort in now to carve some time out of your schedule so that you can be consistent over the next few weeks. Now we're ready to start training, and this is where we've got the balancing act to do, because really we've got a short, intense period of training, but if you've not been doing much and you suddenly ramp up and triple the amount of riding and exercise you do in a week, then after 3 or 4 weeks of that, you're going to be knackered. You might even be ill, you might even pick up a little injury, and then you're going to be even worse off, okay? So whilst you need to increase what you're doing, there's got to be a bit of common sense there and listening to your body and what it can take on, okay? So just try and ramp it up a little bit, but find a sustainable level where you're not waking up every day like crippled with soreness and things like that, okay? And that way you can be consistent over this next short period of time. Remember to like and subscribe. So what are the elements that we need to cover? Well, you can probably guess. Strength training, aerobic fitness, and some high intensity work to really boost that top end fitness, okay? Now, taking each of them in turn, strength training, my speciality subject. Well, if you're not doing any at the moment, and you suddenly start a full-blown strength training program, even with the best program and the best will in the world, chances are, when you start, you're gonna get sore. And maybe it's going to restrict your riding and your movement for a good few days after each session. So if you go in straight off from 0 to a full strength program, trying to do it 2 or 3 times a week, then I think you're going to really struggle to get quality riding in as well. Given a short period of time, I would suggest taking an approach where you do little and often. So rather than a full hour or whatever it is, in the gym where we're squatting and we're doing single leg, we're doing deadlifts, we're doing all those different things, let's dial it back, and a few days a week we're going to get a little dose. So a bit of single leg work, some push-ups and some pull-ups or something like that, a few times a week, nice and simple, with a bit of mobility to go with it to help improve that area, And that way you can make some progress, especially if you're new to training, without taking loads out of the tank and without restricting your bike riding, which needs to be at the forefront of what you're doing going forward. If you're already training in the gym, but it's just been a little lackluster, then absolutely keep doing what you're doing, just keep it focused and maybe just turn it up a little bit so you're going to get a bit more out of those sessions. Now then, aerobic fitness is what I'm always going on about. In a few weeks, you can't make a huge difference to it. You really can't. But if you've got the time, there's only so much strength work you can do, and there's only so many intervals you can do and recover from. So actually, if you've got a little extra time, then it totally makes sense to try and get a couple of aerobic rides in as well. So like I always go on about, like in the video that I'll link up there, low intensity, nasal breathing, and so on. If you can get 1 or 2 of those in a week, all the better. If you can't, so be it, just do your best. Now intervals, this is where you're going to make the most short-term progress for that short-term goal of a race or whatever it is, okay? And by intervals we mean a period of high intensity work followed by a period of recovery. And the work could be 20 or 30 second sprinting, or it could be 5 minutes. And the intervals you choose need to reflect what you're going to go and do. Are you going to be going and riding bike parks, or are you pedaling massive all-day epics in the mountains and at altitude, okay? What you're going to be doing at the end of this determines the intervals you're going to do. And whilst they are the most effective way to really improve your fitness and your performance in the short term, actually, you can probably only tolerate 2 high quality interval sessions a week. When you start doing more than that, all that happens is you get tired and the quality of the intervals declines. And so then each week we just get more and more tired and you're not making the progress. I'd rather you did 1 or maybe 2 really high quality sessions a week, and then you actually recover from them, and then you make progress, and then you're going to be in the best shape possible when you get to your goal event or trip. So you're doing all this work. You're doing some strength work, you're doing some aerobic work, you're doing some intervals. Happy days. But it's going to be no good if you spend every night scrolling your phone, eating Doritos on the sofa till 1 AM, okay? What am I saying? You've got to look after yourself. If you want to adapt from this, especially if you're making a big increase in the amount of training and activity you're doing, if you actually want to recover and actually be fitter and stronger, then you're going to have to work for it, I'm afraid. So you need to get enough sleep, 8, 9 hours, okay? You've got to hydrate. Start drinking water if you don't already. You've got to eat real food, okay? And making sure you're hitting enough protein every day. 2 grams per kilo of body weight is a really great guide. You just got to look after yourself. If you're really stiff and you're really tired, then get on the foam roller. If you can afford it, go and get a massage. Use one of those massage guns, okay? Recovery is going to be key, especially if you've made a big increase in the amount of work that you're doing. And without that recovery, all that's going to happen is you're going to arrive at that event, you're going to arrive there tired, okay? And that's the last thing we want, because you want to do the work, recover from it, and actually arrive at that event feeling a little bit fitter, feeling a little bit stronger, but still fresh enough to just really enjoy it and to use the new gains that you've made already. As well as all the really more structured stuff, just don't be afraid just to get some big rides in, whether it's on your own or with a group of mates. Those big days out where you really push yourself, you go a bit beyond and you come back absolutely wrecked. As long as you're eating and sleeping well, they're really going to help to boost that fitness as you move towards your goal. And then the final thing I'll say is, skills. You know, there's no good just spending a month on Zwift and in the gym if your skills are rubbish and you're really rusty on your mountain bike. Ride your mountain bike, ride the bike that you're going to take away. You know, if you're lucky enough to have one, get some e-bike laps in so you get more time working and riding technical terrain. If you live somewhere where the trails aren't so good and you're going somewhere gnarly, like you're going to a big bike park or going to the mountains, especially for the first time, then it will be money and time well spent if you get yourself over to like a bike park, even if you mean driving a couple of hours, get yourself some uplifts or shuttles and ride some technical gnarly terrain so you're more comfortable in that environment when you actually get to your holiday. apart from the fact you should have started earlier, hopefully you realise that actually you can make a good bit of difference to your strength and fitness in 3 or 4 weeks. The key is you've got to get organised, you've got to make a plan, you've got to prioritise sleeping and eating well in order to cope with the increased amount of activity and training. Remember, with the strength training, if you're new to it, I would take a little and often approach where we get lots of doses of training without hopefully too much fatigue and soreness. And remember, you can't smash yourself on intervals 5 days a week. All you're going to do is end up tired. So let me know how you get on. Are you watching this video because you're panicking and you're not ready for that race or the riding trip? If so, drop a thing in the comments below. Let me know what your plan is and let me know if I can help you. If you've got any other questions, drop them down below, and I'll be back soon with some more training knowledge to help you all enjoy your bikes more.